Is the correct stream key still?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to what is going to be the final behind the screen reaction live stream. Before we get into it, I do have a quick little announcement about the next campaign, which is originally I did want to do a Star Trek campaign, but then I thought about it and I realized that it now wasn't an ideal time to do that, basically. We talked about it in more detail, I think, Minecraft streams ago or something like that.
That sounds...
I think
it was 3, actually.
Maybe 3.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, with 2 days ago, 3. But basically, if you want more details about that, then you can leave a comment on YouTube, and then I'll respond to that in more detail if you want. Now, with that taken care of...
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, indeed. We've got Roomsbath in chat. Hi. Yes. Waiting. Yay. Roomsbath says, Shout, you're a little dark.
Well, I'm going to turn my face cam off anyway because of the video.
Emichu says, his villain era. His villain
also era. Called the slightly rainy end of summer / well, not end of summer yet, but the slightly rainy summer.
Okay.
Right, so yes.
Well, yeah, I'm ready to start.
Kango's of course here.
Oh, yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. I'm Kango Fango.
Jamie is here, but we'll unmute in a little bit. And then...
hello.
Then we have Willis.
Heidi ho.
And we have Mr. W.
I've started a list of stuff to stream. Hopefully not too long now.
Okay,
nice.
One second. Let me just quickly adjust volume levels a bit.
Okay, that sounds good. Alright then.
Mr. W, would you repeat that, please?
I've now started a list of stuff to stream, so hopefully it shouldn't be too long.
There we go, thank you. I think that...
You more quiet.
Hey, hello.
Welcome.
Hello. Right, well...
Alright.
I think we should probably get started, considering that we're a bit late. So...
let's get going then.
Yes, let's.
Hello, and welcome to the next GM report video / prep video, because, well, for 2 reasons. One, the prep video that I recorded for the last session didn't actually record any sound, so I'm including that information in this video, plus a little bit of prep for today's session. So, yeah, so let's get started with that. First, I talked about actually setting some concrete plot points about Puck, namely what happened. So he went to the island, he got put through Zinthar's trials, and originally my idea was that he got killed during that. However, that's a little boring. So instead, how about he didn't fail? How about he succeeded with flying colors? And
flying colors.
Zinthar's minion.
Yes, that pun was intended.
Sure it was. You say that now.
Yes, from the comfort of my own chair.
Literally. Okay, well, let's continue.
With flying colors. And Zinthar's minions, Kralmatan, was so happy to have this magic user with so much potential. And slight issue, Puck didn't actually want to go along with any of Kralmatan's shady stuff.
Good on him.
And now he's not only a magic user who's got a lot of potential, but he's also not corrupt, and also he knows a little bit about Kralmatan and his minions, and so they killed him.
Oh.
I think that that's probably
Pause
more
for a second.
interesting and also allows for more.
I mean, you literally knew that his body arrived back at your village. Where did you think this story was going?
I don't know. Could have been a decoy. A very realistic decoy.
Aw.
Well, not in this case. Not in this case.
Not in your watch.
I mean, although that would be quite an underwhelming kind of if you wanted like a vengeance plot or a revenge or
Yeah.
something, and then it's like you build up all the way to tracking down these people, and then
Murder everyone, and then just he comes out of the bathroom. Just oh hi guys.
yeah.
Wait, who's that?
Wait a minute. That wasn't
Oh.
really him. It was one of them toy squeaky rubber chickens painted to look like him.
It looked so realistic. We should have known when we tried to grab it, and it went ah.
And it
Mm.
went,
I thought that was just his natural sounds.
Ah, that
That's-
was just him having a like going. Don't touch me. I'm in great pain.
Anyway, let's continue.
Sorry. Yes, well,
All right.
or story plot hooks to lead into that. Sorum also doesn't know anything about Puck, and so that's why he'll actually be helpful in talking to people about finding Puck, because he doesn't know that this is actually part of this whole conspiracy. I mean, it doesn't take much to figure it out if you know the details, and if you know that there is a conspiracy, but maybe Sorum doesn't know that much. Or maybe he just hasn't thought about it properly. Who knows? Anyways, he's going to be helpful, at least.
Well, he would have
Right,
been
so
helpful.
next, about
Maybe.
the Monsters of Uncertainty, because I did actually make stat blocks for them, because I thought the party might bypass the mini dungeon and then end up in Vale Rift at nighttime, and so I wanted to have that prepared. And so originally, I wanted to split the Monsters of Uncertainty stat blocks between if they're in bright light, in dim light, or in darkness, and then write different rules for them in that regard. But that was just way too clunky, and like with monsters that are animals or creatures or stuff like that, or even undead, whatever, they're like actual physical, completely real things, it makes sense to have very rigid stat blocks of exactly how they work. But these Monsters of Uncertainty are literally just things that are manifested through the beholder's nightmares of not being in control. And so having them be that rigid was clunky and unnecessary, I felt. So instead, I rewrote them. I did, of course, define basic values for the ability scores, AC, HP, a couple of attacks. And these are the stats. So, as you can see, when you get hit by one, there's a chance that one of these effects will take place.
Guess which one you got?
And also,
Should we read this all, or is it fine?
Banana
Well,
number 3.
Oh yeah, I say now, yeah.
Oh no.
You laugh uncontrollably for 1 round. Oh, that's only a few seconds though, isn't it?
yeah. But in a combat, like I imagined this tense, dark situation, shadows everywhere,
Oh,
and this horrific mist creeps out and attacks one of the party. It's this really tense situation, and then I describe how your character just bursts out laughing uncontrollably.
oh see,
And
I
that's
laugh,
all you can
like
do.
IRL, I laugh when I'm nervous, so that would be...
Yeah, but wouldn't that seem at least a bit creepy in that situation
yeah,
for the
terrifying.
character? So yeah.
Nice. Good idea. Okay. Alright, let's continue then, alright?
Yeah.
Excuse
that
me, Chair.
one of these effects will take place. And also, when it's in darkness, it can change form. It can change its form, and also which of these attacks it will have. So, for example, it might come at you as some sort of a big blob of fur, of shadowy fur, and attack you with one of these attacks, then retreat back into the darkness, and then come walking at you as a shadowy, cloaked figure wielding swords, and it's the same creature. Now, it does also have some some spells. It has access to spells, magic, and you can see the stats here anyway. Oh, right. Now this next bit of prep is for this session. Well, today's session, which is that Sorum doesn't know Arkan's already used his dice that day, like his special divination magic. So because of course Sorum is leading him into this mini dungeon so that he can gauge whether, it can be tested whether he has the ability to foretell on which number the die will land.
Because at this point, this was when you were just leaving Vale Rift. The capital city.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. W, you'd used both of those dice in the magic shop escape thing.
Oh, yes.
But Sorum didn't...
But when we went down to the dungeon, I hadn't used them.
Yes, but that's because
we
you
decided
rested.
to sleep
Yeah.
and go in the...
Oh.
But at this point, I didn't know that yet. And so I thought you'd get to the dungeon that day without you having either of those dice available to you, which Sorum wouldn't know. He'd still think you are in possession of your magic because he wasn't there with the whole shop thing, and none of you told him about it. You just scared him by looking like a scale guard.
Oh, yeah. But he deserved it.
Well, yeah, but...
He did.
So you didn't take into account our normal dilly-dallying and dragging our feet.
No, resting was definitely the correct choice.
Yeah, by the way, hello, Bastro916.
Hello.
You're always so formal.
Well, it's a Twitch name. So when messages appear in chat, people know who we're
the
talking with.
username. Yeah,
Greetings and salutations.
exactly. It's just a bit of a habit.
Greetings and salads.
Blue, blue.
Sure. Blue.
On which number the die will land, like in the trays, to then open the doors and not trigger the trap. Now, how much of this Sorum actually knows how it works is debatable, probably not that much. However, he does know that he's specifically supposed to test a divination wizard, but the divination wizard's already used his special things, so that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I have no idea what will happen. We'll see. The other mini dungeons that the party walk past, I've decided are going to be sealed off at the moment. Like, you can get into the entrance way, but then down below it's just a massive stone, not portcullis, a massive stone block that's blocking the way, basically. It's been sealed so that random adventurers don't go in and kill the monsters which have been carefully stocked there and have been kept fed. So, makes sense. Plus it means I don't have to prepare what the different mini dungeons for the other schools of wizardry would look like.
And that's the important bit.
Yeah. And that's it for the prep stuff. Now for the report. 1 second. I've got 2 bits of paper this time. So, let's see. Yes. The "we're turning you in" joke was a perfect coincidence. Because you know that I wanted to drop more hints that Sorum is doing some shady stuff and not everything is as it seems.
That was perfect.
Who could have expected the players themselves just randomly approaching Sorum and telling him, "Hey, we know what you're doing. We're gonna turn you over to the Scale Guards." Like, who could have expected that? Yeah, that was too good of an opportunity to pass up. Now, if I were to do this exactly by the book, then probably Sorum would have had to roll. I keep wanting to say sense motive. It's not sense motive. It's
Insight, I know.
Insight.
See, told you I know.
Sorum would have probably had to roll insight to see if they're telling the truth or not, if they're joking. But that might have then just that might have just resulted in the opportunity being missed. And
That needs to be a sound that you add to your kangaroo board, kangaroo.
So yeah, that's true. So I need to add some.
The winning fella
Mm-hmm.
bell thing.
being
Yeah.
missed, and that wouldn't be fun for anybody. So I decided to forego that, and instead made the others roll insight to see if they notice a reaction in Sorum. Because even if they fail, that's going to stick in people's minds. Hold on, why did I have to roll to see if I noticed something about that guy? Is there something going on with that guy? Yeah. Next is the thing about Pock's body being returned to Kar's village. As far as I can remember, that wasn't discussed with.
Oh,
I didn't discuss that with Emichu, because
I'm
the
sorry.
way I had imagined it
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
is
It's
that
okay.
Pock.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't discuss that with Emichu, because the way I had imagined it is that Pock died on the island, and then word came back of his death. Emichu said it so matter-of-factly that I wasn't sure if I had said that or it was a misunderstanding. But either way, that was how Emichu had envisioned that part of her character's backstory, that Puck was returned to the village and it was buried there. And because it has no bearing on the plot that I've come up with, I just kind of default to, okay, yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, of course. Yeah, but not sure if that was a miscommunication or what happened there, but that's fine. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Next is
It was, I'm sorry.
yeah. On the journey to that wood where the mini dungeons are, I forgot to describe the landscape. I wanted to describe it as this bleak, windswept, grassy hills sort of thing, but I completely didn't do that. I was looking at the clock and thought, okay, I have to move this forward, and so I completely forgot. And I tried to do it a little bit when I would describe the wood, so that there would be a contrast between the landscape they were in previously and the landscape they're in now, but it didn't work as well as I would have otherwise wanted it to work. The monster food trafficker / delivery guy, that is what Sorum did before for Skrulmitan. So that was his job, his first job for him, what he got hired to do first in order to pay off his debt against the poisoning. You know what I mean. Also, the hunt's not going well, which I believe was a hint in the first ever stream, when when Brak Igan wanted to have the menu. He was told that the hunts weren't going very well, which is because Skrulmitan's minions have been hunting animals to feed the monsters, so that it wouldn't really be traceable where all of this food's going. And of course, the food, the meat is rotten specifically because it's for monsters. It's like, well, it's not just someone feeding lions, it's actual monsters who prefer the meat to be rotten. Alright, the next thing is polymorph. That's the word I was looking for. What dragons can do, where they can shapeshift into other creatures. It's called polymorph. Right. So, yeah, the next thing is, as I was describing the scene, I actually, the scene around the statue in the mini dungeon, I completely forgot about the feeding tubes, that they actually should have a point at the top where they can be discovered. And so I just hastily threw that in, because I thought, hold on, that's a bit that actually really should be described, especially since it might arouse suspicions as well, and it did. And I really loved Willis's reaction about, what is going on with these tubes? Like, why would people be putting rotten meat down there? What's going on? But hold on, what does this have to do with Sorb's brother? That reaction was so great. And yeah, that's all the notes that I have. So I'll see you this evening for the session, hopefully. So bye-bye.
Bye.
Aw. Session 8, GM report.
Session 8, GM report.
Start date
24.
2314.6.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you're making me want to do Star Trek again.
Oops.
One day.
I do miss summer.
Hello. Welcome to the next GM report video. This one isn't going to be that long, hopefully. But we'll see. So, got my notes. First thing, while quite early in the session, I started drawing a dungeon map for this mini dungeon, for the first floor with the stairs going down this octagonal building, because I thought that if they fight the monsters, that fight might spill out up the ladder into that space, so I might as well prepare that now as to not break the flow later on. But then I realized, well, the chances of that happening are quite slim, so I probably don't need to actually prepare that, and so I changed my mind and deleted it. So yeah, that just explains that.
Roomsbath says something, hey, a monkey puzzle tree, wow.
Yeah.
The tree on the left, yeah.
And it just stands in the middle of this little woodland, and you can only see it from a specific angle from one of the little side paths if you walk along that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a very interesting discovery when I first found it.
Roomsbath.
A monkey puzzle tree?
Yeah, it's
hold
the
on.
one on the left, the one with those very evenly spaced branches coming out with those spiky leaves and all that.
It's also called the Chilean pine. It's that one. I linked it in PLP chat. It's that kind of tree.
Never heard of it.
All right. Right, let's continue.
It must be very old, yes.
Yeah.
Next, also quick note to add to that. I do prefer drawing maps on a whiteboard or something like that, like you can do with Roll20 with a brush, as opposed to pre-preparing them with textures and all of that sort of stuff. Mainly because it allows for more fluidity. If the game flows a certain way, and it would narratively be much better if the map layout were slightly different, and I haven't said anything that would break continuity to change, then I can just make that change, and when I draw it, I can draw it differently. But of course, there's a place for both. The long rest took a long time. Like in session time, it took almost an hour, I think, from the start of the stream to when the long rest was over, which is half the stream, half the session. And normally I would have abbreviated that a lot and in an effort to speed things along. However, this was the first time that the group rested in Wilderness, and so I thought that going through all the details of gathering food and the shifts of watch and all that sort of stuff is necessary to maintain the feeling that this is actually Wilderness, and you do have to pay attention to those sort of things. Now, in the future, when the party does long rests, I'll probably abbreviate it quite a bit to keep things moving. But yeah, that took quite a while. The next thing is that Mr. W didn't want to use his divination dice for the puzzle in the mini dungeon because he thought that I, as a GM, wouldn't metagame and put a challenge in a random dungeon that specifically is solvable by this one character. Because, I mean, normally that's true, because, I mean, it does kind of break immersion and doesn't feel great if you're adventuring and this is ancient stuff, and you enter this room and there is a challenge to overcome, and there is a character that just happens to be with the group who just happens to have an exact ability which just happens to solve this exact puzzle, and there was no reason for anyone to expect that this would happen to be this way. That feels unrealistic. That breaks immersion. That's not fun. Of course, we know, and by this point, when Mr. W is watching this, hello, Mr. W.
Hello.
Hello.
We know as well that, of course, there was a lot of reason behind this.
Like,
And you were
don't
right to be suspicious.
Overthinking it.
Like, I'm glad that you picked up on this being suspicious. It's just your suspicion was directed at me on a meta level, whereas the suspicion could have been directed at the situation in game. Sorum, so
I'm
the
always
fact is,
suspicious of
Sorum didn't try to lead the party down into the monster pit. Now, I haven't fully decided the reason behind that yet. If I want to be cynical about it, then Sorum didn't try to get the party down there because it wouldn't have succeeded, and it would have just added to the suspicion. If you want to think about it a little bit more wholesomely, I guess, you could see it as the party just took quite a lot of damage, and Sorum already sees, okay, they failed the trial, I'm not going to put them in more danger. Now, that is a way you could see that. I'm not sure which of those I want to be the canon explanation, but that leads me to the next point, which is deciding on Sorum's morality. Because we know that Sorum got pulled into this through originally being poisoned, and then Cleric just so happened to show up to cure him, but that incurred a lot of debt. And then, fortunately, Skra-Mitan was there to offer him work, first of all feeding the monsters discreetly by putting that rotten meat down into those different holes on the mini dungeons, and then escorting people up to his mansion, which I'm actually probably going to have at Vale Rift, as I discussed before. And then that escort morphing into putting a few little white lies in to make business deals go more favorably for Skra-Mitan. And then once he started lying, then we probably gathered some dirt on him through that. And then now it's just, well, lie to get people to go to these locations. Not that big of a leap. Now, where does Sorum draw the line? Because we know that Sorum was happy to lead people into that place where the trap got triggered. But maybe Sorum didn't know exactly how dangerous it was. Or Sorum also... No, Sorum must have been willing to go through with it, even if there hadn't been anybody else up there, because he couldn't have banked on that. And this clearly isn't his first mission. So he's okay with putting people in danger. But is he, though? Or is he being forced?
Yeah, he's evil.
You could say that Sorum might have family who would otherwise be put in danger. And
Yeah,
if that's the
imaginary
case,
brothers.
then
Hey,
on
those
the one
th-
hand,
those
on the one hand,
are
you've got the positive
Sorry.
incentive of
Yeah.
those are not to be underestimated.
They may
Yeah, his imaginary brother is an imaginary danger.
they may just manifest someday. I don't know.
He
who
is
would
just
otherwise be
evil.
put
Who knows? Maybe. Probably.
in danger. And if that's the case, then on the one hand, you've got the positive incentive of money and having a job, to as well having the negative incentive of keeping his family safe, if that is where we want to go with that. Which, it depends on how redeemable I want to make Sorum as a character. What would be more fun for the players? Because they are now suspicious. They started out trusting him, then they became suspicious, and if it turns out he is actually a bad guy, someone who wasn't originally but who got turned into a bad guy, then how they deal with him might be more interesting than if it's like, no, I am a good guy, I'm just being forced to do these bad things. Because at that point, although that might lead into more missions to, but no, that's too big of a scope. This is supposed to be a small campaign. So how about Sorum has been going through these missions, but in that it's become harder and harder for him to justify to
Can you pause for a
himself
second?
that what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this video was only supposed to be like 5 minutes long.
I see.
He turned to the dark side because he wanted to steal all their cookies.
Mwahaha.
It's become harder and harder for him to justify to himself that what he's doing is actually good. I mean, we don't know what Skralmetan told him. Maybe he believes... Thank you, Train. I agree. Well said. I mean, he could have told him something like that he's building a resistance to the tyranny of the Green Matrix.
Yeah.
That he's building a resistance to the tyranny of the Green Matriarch, and he needs powerful mages for this. And so, to test these mages, they should be pulled into these locations. And the thing is, Sorum always wanted to stay outside, or someone to stay outside to help them if needed, because this test isn't necessarily supposed to be lethal. And that's something that I have already decided on a long time ago when I first made up this world building around that. So Sorum thought that he was helping build a resistance to the tyranny of the Green Matriarch, but in recent times, as Linthar's becoming more and more paranoid, that's been acting more pressure on Skralmetan, which means more pressure's been coming down to his minions, with Sorum, of which is one. And so in that, he's becoming less and less, well, he's becoming more disillusioned with what's happening. And he wants to get out, but he knows that certain other people who tried to escape mysteriously vanished. They knew too much, and they got killed. That could also lead into Puck, maybe as well. So I think I'll go with that. Originally, he thought that Skralmetan was this great guy because he offered him work, money, when he really needed it to pay off the debt to the cleric.
Oh, Willis. Disconnected. Oh no.
Oh god.
Oh, do you know how far back did
Just
you see?
now.
Is he still
Literally
online?
just now.
No, he's
He
Ah,
literally just disconnected.
potentially Wi-Fi issues because he's gone offline completely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe he'll be back. I don't know. What should we do?
oh well, that
I think-
is.
Give it 5 minutes, I think, and then if he's not back by then,
Maybe we can talk about what races we are allowed to pick in this new upcoming
Perhaps.
adventure.
Oh, he's back online.
Never mind.
Maybe it was a cat who who pulled out
Oh.
a wire from a socket.
I'm
No,
really
he
glad
heard
he's
character.
welcome
He
back.
heard character creation, and he was like, "I'm coming back. I'm coming back." Oh, hello.
Hello?
Hello,
Hello.
we were not talking about anything important.
Sure.
How dare you?
Hello.
The internet decided to take a break.
Decided to settle coup.
Well, I mean, the internet is very busy. Now let's continue while it lasts.
Alright. Glad you're back.
Go, full speed ahead.
That.
Yes.
Originally,
No, normal speed ahead.
he thought that Skramitan was this great guy because he offered him work, money, when he really needed it to pay
I'll
off the
slightly go back because Willis may not have heard that. Okay, can I resume?
Go on.
Alright.
That could also lead into Puck, maybe as well. So I think I'll go with that. Originally, he thought that Skramitan was this great guy because he offered him work, money, when he really needed it to pay off the debt to the cleric. And then he got him doing some small lies to help with business, but really that was just for the good of the island, for the good of the city, for the economy, for all of that. And then when it came to leading other people down to these places, Skramitan was building a resistance to the Green Matriarch. And because of course the Green Matriarch is a tyrant. And so being part of the underground to help that, yes, it's not moral, but he wasn't sent to kill those people going down there. It's a test, and he was to remain outside so that he could open up the door again, so that he could maybe pull them out, or maybe he has healing potions on him. Because if he believes that what he's doing is truly good, and he doesn't want those people to die, or if he did, maybe he used to have healing potions on him going down there, so that if they did get hurt, he could heal them, and then they could escape. Maybe that's what's changed. Maybe he's been asked to put people into these situations without an escape plan, and that's what's made him want to escape, but now he's afraid. I think that's interesting. That's what I'm going to go with. I might deliberate that a little bit more, and I need to write it down in the notes. Originally, I didn't want to talk about this in the report video, but now I might be able to save myself from making a prep video as well. So there we go.
Which I have.
That's pretty much it. So I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, so I'm back. Slight addendum. As I was leaving, I remembered that the Green Matriarch actually has a lot of influence. And so
Yeah, I should have
if there
listened to the
are
train.
people who are told that a resistance is being built to the Green Matriarch, then that information would filter through to her quite rapidly, especially if the lowest down minions, the one that are the most numerous and the least professional, are presented with this story. Skramitan wouldn't want that to be linked to him. If it is linked to him, and the Scale Guard investigate him, then they won't be able to find anything, because there is no resistance. I mean, trying to investigate this resistance that's supposed to be building up, but not being able to find anything, might also encourage the Green Matriarch to leave the island in favor for that suddenly freed land way, way, way in the west. I suppose the only way that might work is if Skramitan, if he's tied in with the economy and there's no actual evidence, then the benefit of the economy's health. Plus, if maybe he's also part of the Green Matriarch's intelligence. Maybe he's the one who actually also keeps an eye on the council. Maybe he is involved in those scrying target things. Those are all things to think about that won't be relevant for a long time, if ever. But it suffices in my mind to know there are avenues for this all to make sense. So that story of, oh, I'm building a resistance won't break things. Okay, now I'm actually gonna go. So, thanks again. Bye-bye. Right, another very slight addendum. I've just thought of an obvious solution. And that obvious solution is that the whole resistance to the Green Matriarch is the Green Matriarch's idea. Like, what better way to fight any potential resistance than to build one yourself and see who bites? Skral Metan was already powerful. Probably I'll keep the thing with a gem trade, powerful connections, but like, it's so obvious. If the Green Matriarch wants Skral Metan to try to see who would bite with that story, then of course stories would filter through. But that's so obvious. I don't.
It was a
think
honeypot
that
scheme.
immediately.
Definitely not.
Yeah, that would
Don't know what you're talking
solve-
about.
But
Hmm.
yeah, that would solve all of those issues.
Perhaps one way of disposing of the people who know too much is for Metan to present them to the Green Matriarch as rebels, aka what Sorum fears.
Ooh.
After all, he does need to make her believe that he's actually doing his job for her.
It all works. So, yeah. Oh, actually, we are now at this place again, which is one of my favorite spots in this little woodland. Just that view there. Hold on, I'll quickly show you the other camera. 1 second. Yeah, because this is the tree that I had showed you before in one of the videos. I think it might have been in the MVR update video, maybe. But you can see how ancient this is.
Oh, yeah.
And just this view back like that, with the tree overhanging from the top and the sun filtering through from up there. It's difficult to get into the lens of this camera because of the field of view, but just this, maybe with a little bit of parallaxing as well, so you can actually get a little bit of depth. Yeah, that's one of my favorite spots in this woodland. Anyway, I don't think we'll have any more addendums, but who knows? You will. because
Addendum
you'll
to the
see
addendum to
video
the
length
addendum.
bottom, and if there's lots of space, then there'll probably still be an addendum. So, see you in a moment, or see you in a little while. Bye bye.
Joke's on him. Either way, it's in a moment.
True. Right, session 9 GM report.
Ah, yes.
Feet.
Well, shoes. But yes.
Hello, and welcome to the next
Frog
GM
feet.
report slash GM prep video, because this is going to be both again. So there really isn't that much to report on from the last session, because it was mostly one extended conversation. One bit that did kind of stand out is the idea that some of the Scale Guard might be on the payroll of Skral Metan, and that they might have been involved with Maima's brother actually having been captured or abducted or something like that, not officially. And that's an interesting idea, and I did think about maybe making that the actual truth, because sometimes, actually quite a lot of times, what the players come up with is far better than what you've come up with. Plus, if it does actually turn out to be true, that's going to be very rewarding for the players. So I'm all for changing things that that I as the GM have planned in favor of something that the players have come up with, if it all still makes sense and it doesn't feel forced or anything like that. But in this specific instance, I'm not going to do that, because It wouldn't really make that much sense, not to me at least. I mean, of course, Skramaton being officially, well, I say officially, being acting on the order of the Green Matriarch in regards to trying to root out resistance members and that sort of stuff. It would make sense that he would also have some sway over the Scale Guard, but that is, I don't think that that's something that needs to be explored. Maybe it does. We'll see how it goes, but I don't think so I don't think that necessarily has to be explored. So in terms of what I want to actually plan for the next session, you could look at it in two ways. Either there is a lot that needs to be planned, or there really is practically nothing that needs to be planned. The former...
I promise it makes sense.
It has the mindset of, okay, the players are going to speak with this NPC that I've not even made stats for yet, and they could go any one of dozens of ways, and I need to be prepared for what they do. The latter of the two ways you could look at it, the mindset is, well, the players are going to do what they want. All I need to do is have a clear image of what the world is like, and then it'll just react how it'll react. Basically, winging it. I'm going to do the... Hold on, which one was it? Oh yes, the latter. So what's the way that things usually go? Usually, when he orders his minions to escort some of these wizards or magic users to these trials,
Pause for
usually
a second.
the trials get completed.
Because at this point, this is when you'd just finished this long conversation with Sorum, and you'd found out about Skramaton, and about the Resistance, and about all of that stuff. And to me it sounded like you were gonna go to Vale Rift, and then have a chat with Sorum. No, not Sorum. Skramaton, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
And so I thought in this coming session, I need to be ready for you to get not just into Vale Rift, but to get to this mansion and all the stuff around it, and kind of have maybe an image of what the layout is like and what Skral, what he's gonna do. And so that's kind of a bit of context for that.
Yeah, and we did want to do that, but I think once we got to Vale Rift, there were so many other things that happened that we just didn't. I think there were other things. Yeah. Oh, Ashley, it's a message.
We got sidetracked by the shinies again.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
To these trials. Usually the trials get completed one by one, and then at the end he reports back, or the minion reports back. In this case, they're going to meet him before reporting back. So then it depends. So how is he going to react? Well, it depends if the players try to swing it in the way of, oh yeah, we completed this trial, and we found out that you don't really like the Green Matriarch, and we don't like her either, so maybe we could team up. Then, well, Skramaton is going to try to make the players his minions, of course. If the players act suspiciously, or if they don't act trustworthy, or something goes wrong along those regards, then Skramaton, his usual way of capturing them and then framing them as resistance members isn't going to work. I guess he could turn them over to the Scale Guard. Actually, that might work, because then if it does come to a fight, or if they do seem to be untrustworthy, or rather too trustworthy to be pulled into his villainous schemes, however you want to look at that, then maybe he does capture them and then turn them over to the Scale Guard with accusations of being rebels, and since they're wanted anyway in the Radiant City, which he probably doesn't know yet, I might do something where a Scale Guard scout or messenger passes the players going up to the house to kind of indicate that he might have this information, that they're wanted there, which actually could be on the positive side for them as well, because, oh, these people are wanted by the Scale Guard, well, then they might be in trouble that I can help with, that I can create some one-way bridges with. So yeah, he's got that information, probably by messenger, which the players need to pass, or who needs to pass the players. And then either he tries to recruit them, and then we'll see where the players take that, or there's a fight, and they get captured, turned over to the Scale Guard, where they'll get imprisoned. Maybe they'll get sent off to the quarries, the gem quarries. There needs to probably be some sort of test of loyalty. So perhaps either investigating the monsters up at Veil Rift, the monsters of uncertainty, or the Green Matriarch. Probably the Green Matriarch, because everybody wants to know what's up with the Green Matriarch. And so, hey, you lot, oh yeah, you're on my side? Okay, prove it. Go up there to the Dragon's Lair and tell me what you see. So a bit that I do want to speak about as well briefly is how is this going to tie in with every player and their goals? So with Ka, it's quite obvious because they're of course going to want to speak with Hildegard, or at least get information about Hildegard. And so am I going to make things go sour if the players investigate that? Or how would Skram-Matan handle that? He was going to enlist him in the Resistance, which is kind of true, and then he mysteriously died, and that he might have been found out by the Green Matriarch. But I think that's the way he's going to go, and then he's going to see how the players react to that. If the players push the issue, then that's going to lead to a fight. If the players don't push the issue, and instead lean into it and say, oh, this Green Matriarch is terrible, and my friend's blood is on the Green Matriarch's hands, then of course things are going to go more favorably, and there might be more trust being built. So that's for how it might go for Ka. Then for Mima, of course, either if they get captured, like I said before, then they would meet the brother wherever they get led to, either to the House of Harmony dungeons or over to Gemhaven. If there is no fight, if instead they build trust, then he would deliver information. He would give information about where Puck is and weaknesses of how to get him out, perhaps, and maybe even use some of his influence to create some gaps with the Scale Guard, because of course he is in good standing with the Scale Guard and has quite a lot of sway. So maybe just manipulating duty shifts, or maybe creating diversions, or creating some sort of plan to help spring her brother from jail. We've got Mr. W, who, I mean, the obvious thing is just to expedite the gem deal, the gem trade deal, which is something, if things go well, of course he's gonna do to build this friendship as a gesture of good faith, which means that technically he could then leave within a couple days, because we're going to go that quickly. If things go south, however, well, then Mr. W has already told me that he would like his character to go into the direction of standing up for himself more, and not being pushed around that much, either by Lord Pinross or I guess by this guy as well. And so that's plenty of opportunity to stand up, fight, get arrested, and then either plan some way of taking him down or getting more information, or that's stuff that I need to plan in the future. I'm not going to deal with that now, because what the players may or may not do, it literally changes the whole world in the universe. So then, last but certainly not least, we've got Brak Igan. So, Tritherion is a champion of freedom and of self-defense and of protecting the innocent and all that sort of stuff, protecting the helpless, that whole sort of stuff. Basically, a good deity. And so, trying to get to the bottom of this or trying to help the others is pretty much all the plot elements that Willis has brought into the story so far, so I don't think that I need to plan too much there. And speaking of the Monsters of Uncertainty, that's actually another point that needs to be brought up, because Sorum didn't actually tell the players about that part of his orders, and so that is something that needs to happen. So the players have just arrived at Vale Rift, so when it comes time to either visit Straumetan, he's going to tell them before they get there, or if they want to rest somewhere beforehand, then he needs to tell them, okay, either stay within town or stay out there but don't go outside. I'm waiting for a train, and in doing that, I was thinking about the D&D game, and so I thought about how Straumetan is in contact with Zinthar. The most obvious way is, of course, via messengers or something like that. But that is risky, because you can follow a messenger, and Zinthar doesn't want that. He's too smart for that. And so I thought, well, sending stones would be the obvious answer, but that's only 25 words per use, and that's only once per day. So how about, it's not one sending stone, but it's like 5 of them, like 5 different sets. And each one, maybe it's so that he can't just remove them, so that Zinthar always knows that his minions, like the minions that are directly under him, will always get his messages. How about their piercings? Like, imagine it's Dragonborn with these strange magical stones, like piercings on his, like on his horn maybe, or on his scales on his arm or something like that. I think that could work quite well. Right. So, with that, I'll see you in 2 days, because this week's live stream is going to be on Wednesday, because it's switched with Friday for this week only. So, see you then. Bye-bye. By the way, this tree is massive, if you couldn't tell, because I've got my hand on it now. Look at how massive this tree is.
Blimey.
Yes, that is quite a big tree.
Big.
It is.
In case you're curious where that station was, it was in Brussels.
In Belgium. Oh.
Yes, and that was a very hot day.
Damn. I don't remember you going there.
Well, I didn't exactly go there, but I went through there. Anyway.
Okay.
Right.
GM report. Session 10. Oh.
Buggo!
Buggo!
Hello.
Opilion!
Oh yeah. Look.
Oh,
It's-
ooh.
That's it.
It's not a spider. It's...
Oh, it's the legs of it.
It was
It's-
one of the villains on Johnny Quest.
It's still nasty.
But look at how shiny!
It looks like it, yeah.
Oh no, the buggo is fine. The other thing.
Isn't.
Oh, I know what you mean, but look how shiny!
Aww.
Could make a nice hat out of that on Minecraft.
The Opilion?
I don't know. This
Hello,
Sarah.
and welcome
oh,
to
never
the
mind.
next GM.
What, sorry?
Oh, what are they called? Sarah.
He just came out of the car wash. They had buffed him to waxed and buffed him really shiny.
You can get the bug wings in Minecraft and the first modded that we did.
Oh.
Syracuse? No. Serapiece?
Carapace, you mean?
Oh.
Serapiece.
Yeah, Carapace. Although...
That thing.
Yeah.
I got there eventually.
Mm-hmm.
which is also what the top part of a turtle's shell is called. The bottom is called plastron.
It's called the bottom.
God, yeah, I always thought it was called the bottom of the turtle.
Nope, it's two different things. I was surprised when I learned that too.
I thought it
Top
was.
of the turtle and the bottom of the turtle.
Yep.
I thought there was a little label that says "Upside down, please turn me over."
Oh,
If you can read this, please flip me over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, and welcome to the next GM report video. This time there's not really much prep work that needs to be done, because the last session was mostly improvised, because the players didn't really go into any of the areas that I had pre-prepared much, outside of the rough outlines that I prepared ages ago.
It was still loads of fun. It was loads of fun. I had so much fun describing Vale Rift and all the different places and things like that, and watching you explore those places. It was so much fun. Just we didn't get through a lot that I had prepared for the session.
Yeah.
So
Which is true, yeah. Okay.
I've just got a few points to go through. The first is that Willis, of course, figured out
What do you mean,
what's
of
going
course?
on again. I'm really happy. So there are kind of two ways that you can look at this. Now, some GMs, mostly that I've kind of read about or heard about in videos, I'm not sure that I've actually met many of those myself, but some GMs, apparently, get really... Hold on, bit windy, sorry. Some GMs apparently get really quite disappointed or frustrated when the players figure out their plan, which I don't get at all, because, I mean, the whole point of you making all of this is for the players to explore. The whole point of putting clues in is for the players to figure it out. And so I find it really very satisfying when the players have figured out what's going on or have a suspicion of what's going on, and then that can be reinforced as they discover it, because that makes the players feel satisfied as well. So I'm really happy about that. Jamie's idea of the color of the scales of the Dragonborn being the thing where the different dragons' colors, that's clever, and that could be the plot.
Thank
In this
you.
instance, it just so happens that it isn't. But that's a clever idea nonetheless.
Drat,
The next
spoiled
thing is,
again.
Yeah.
the thing about the Dragonfest is obviously improvised on my part, but I think that that's a good way for the players to gain more information, especially if they wait around for that long, and then they get to talk with other people and figure out bits about the town. It's a good place to meet some of the other NPCs from some of the other locations as well. Now, the woman who approached them over by the reverse horse was, in fact, Hairpin Maddie, who's one of the people trying to sell the fake magical wonders. Like, for example, the Spectre's Crossing Tavern, because that's just some people who've got wizards who know very basic magic, like ghost sound, that sort of thing, to try to make this place feel haunted. And so, of course, she's trying to earn money through any means possible through the tourism aspect of the town. I also really like that the players seem to be quite into the world building. So, for example, that the Hikers Release Tavern is the oldest building there, and then the town grew around it, and that's where it got its old name from, and all that sort of thing. Yeah, I'm really happy that the players seem to be getting into that whole world building aspect of it and are enjoying it. I do need to do a little bit of prep for the Spectre's Crossing Tavern, like to figure out what their routine is. Like I already said, ghost sound, then probably also illusion, like minor illusion or something like that. Like maybe they've got one wizard who came here to study these magical anomalies, and thought, oh, actually, maybe I could earn a bit of money with this, and then that's what happened. Oh, by the way, the NPCs from the town, like the different locations, I know that I already came up with several aspects of who they are way back when I did the world building for this. Now, I didn't write many, or in most cases any of those notes down, which means that I'm just going to improvise it for whatever is needed in the situation. Now, you could do it the other way. You could meticulously note down everything, but I prefer doing it this way. So, yeah. Next, oh yeah, the foods. I know Willis really enjoys all of the different fantasy foods and all that sort of stuff, which I really like. Another example of the players getting into the world building of it. But I didn't. The only one I prepared are those apples that were kind of like those freeze-dried Glade of Preservation apples. The other stuff was improvised on the moment. I really should come up with at least names for some of the foods. Maybe just a generic list that I can pull from, just so to make it a little bit easier, so I don't have to improvise in the moment. I know I already said that in one of the other prep videos, but I've just not done that yet, so yeah. Of course, the lizard folk on the horse, that was the messenger to give Skralmetan an update on notable events that happened in the capital, which of course, cars, flyover and all that sort of stuff, what happened in the magic shop will be in there. And the other one with the marble pillars, that was construction materials for the temple, of course. And Muckclaw was mentioned again, and Muckclaw might be an important NPC. We'll see if the players go that way. Another bit in regards to the Dragonfest is that I'm deliberately keeping the timeline of when people say the Green Matriarch disappeared a bit vague. Like originally, the bartender said that it's about a month and then a few months, and I'm deliberately keeping that a bit vague because I think that just feels a bit more realistic. Because those are accounts of people who haven't exactly been paying complete attention to this. Like if they go to maybe some sort of an archivist or some, like maybe an elder bard or something, he might be able to give an accurate record of when the last time someone told him they saw the Green Matriarch or anything like that. But maybe people have been lying as well. Maybe to keep the illusion that everything's under control, they could say, oh, a Green Matriarch was spotted there just a month ago. Maybe someone else says, no, that doesn't. I'm just deliberately keeping that a bit vague. The actual real number is probably a few months ago. I also quickly wanted to mention that there are, anytime in the stream, in this series, anytime there's something in a gameplay session that I didn't mention in one of the prep videos, then that's because I've improvised it. And that does also lead to a small acknowledgement, which is when the bartender first said about the Dragonfest, I think I said that the Green Matriarch doesn't usually make an appearance. That was a mistake, because at that point I was still improvising it and piecing it together in my mind. And then I don't even think that I properly cognated that I said it that way, because a little bit later I said, yeah, usually the Green Matriarch does make an appearance, and they put the candles in the balloons to raise them up, to let them fly up to the Green Matriarch as she flies over, and that whole thing in honor and worship of the Green Matriarch, which of course makes a lot more sense. Also that the Green Matriarch's not showed up for the last Dragonfest, and that's why they're redoing it, because of the tourism aspect of it. And I mean, if this was earlier, like if this was when I first started GMing, or the first substantial section when I was GMing, I would have tried to make that make sense somehow, so that the like maybe he thought about lying to them because it isn't good for business if people expect the Green Matriarch to be there and then she's not there because she wasn't there last time, but then that wouldn't make sense with... I would have probably tried to come up with some explanation so that it makes sense in universe, but no. If you make a mistake, then it's just that, it's a mistake. And so me saying that the Green Matriarch doesn't usually appear at these sorts of things was not true. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you tonight for the session. Bye-bye.
We only have a few more left.
All right. Oh, yeah.
Well, it depends. If we've got a few more left, then it depends how far we get through. Like if we get through if we don't get through them until after 10.
Well, it's 11 minutes, then 3 minutes, and the very last video.
Should be fine.
So 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we can
go?
have the long-awaited conversation about the new campaign. I've been really looking forward to that.
What new campaign?
Oh, drat, I gave it away too soon.
Okay, well, let's get to session 11 GM report in that case.
Yep.
Hello, and welcome to the next GM report video. In this video, I'm going to go over my notes as usual. There is a little bit of prep work to do, not that much, we'll see. So the first note I have is the thing about the Green Matriarch's caches was improvised. So in the moment I thought, oh yeah, I didn't actually plan for where these holy relics could be. Well, the Green Matriarch seems to be in control, so she probably has some. And with all of the treasure that she has, she wouldn't have been able to disappear off without anybody noticing if she'd taken all of that with her. Unless, of course, she's got dimensional spells, which she... Does she? I don't know. But yeah, she wouldn't have easily been able to take all that stuff with her, so it makes sense that
People
she would
get
have
suspicious when they see a dragon with a big bag over its shoulder flying away.
Just imagine this massive, ancient green dragon with this huge sack over her shoulder, over her wing, and someone just looking up, confused, just looking, then her looking down and says, "Shh, I'm Santa," and flies away.
or just like, it's Gucci, okay? You can't judge.
Runespath laughs as well. Okay. It's a funny thought.
with her, so it makes sense that she would have hidden away, buried, stocked away powerful items and wealth for later use. And so I need to come up with a little bit of details around that, like for example, how are these caches protected? Because apparently people know about them or suspect that they exist, so why are they still there? What's protecting them? Which, given how manipulative the Green Matriarch is, maybe some monsters that she can reason with and has convinced to protect that area. What the reason for that protection is, I don't know yet, but I like the thought of that. Because that means the players might also be able to reason with whatever's there. That's something I will ponder a bit longer when it becomes more relevant. The next note is, I would really like to have... So, Skral Metan is, of course, really not a good guy, but I want him to act like very kind and gentle and inviting, because that, I think, is very interesting. And then if the players do figure it out, either the players immediately don't trust him, or if they do actually end up trusting Skral, then when they do figure out that he is actually entirely untrustworthy, it'll be much more rewarding to actually have a bad guy who is genuinely a bad guy. And I want Murkrath Muckclaw to be the opposite. because she is actually quite kind and helpful and all that sort of stuff, but she doesn't appear that way. She appears aggressive and dangerous, and you shouldn't mess with her. But once you get to know her, and once you get past that, she's actually quite a kind individual. And I quite like that, the idea of that duality, and we'll see how that pans out, if the players even go up to her at all. I find that Mr. W being so on Sorum's side is creating some very interesting dynamics, because you've got some of the players wanting to trust more, some trust less, and then Mima seems to be caught in the middle because on the one hand, she's the one who has had arguably the most detriment because her brother, who is very real and very in danger.
There's someone in chat. Duncan's Tamp 23. Hey Shardays, what's up?
Oh, hello. This is...
Hello.
So, a very, very, very brief explanation. This is a series where we did a short-ish D&D campaign to kind of try and give a little bit of an insight to new GMs as to how I personally run the game and what my thought processes are in terms of world building and session prep and all that sort of stuff. And so now we're all here as a watch party watching the prep videos.
Yeah, Duncan says, I'm curious, would a Star Wars Evil D&D campaign interest you to collaborate to play as a main villain and associate DM?
It sounds interesting, but if I had the time for that, then, well, I would also must have had the time for a lot of other things. So, thanks for the offer, but I have not the time.
Emichu says, blue blue, friend for you. Duncan, that's exactly why I want to talk.
Okay, well, let's just continue.
Yeah, not at the moment. But hello. Also, hello, Code Monkey as well.
Hello.
Welcome.
Come on, let's continue.
All right.
In the middle, because on the one hand, she's the one who has had arguably the most detriment because her brother, who is very real and very in danger, well,
he's
very in
imaginary.
a not good place.
Yes, he is real.
Who is very real and very in danger, well, very in a not good place. His rescue has been delayed because of this phony story, and yet Mama is kind, and so with Arkan being kind of on Sorum's side, Mima is now also kind of, but I think that's a very interesting dynamic. And then we get to Willis sharing not just to the NPC but to the actual real-life players about his backstory and about how his parents were blessed by a god so that he could be born. And I just think that was really sweet and good roleplay. So, yeah, well done. And then we get to... Oh, right, yes. Another bit about the Green Matriarch's potential caches is that the stories that are circulating about them, which are very limited, but still, could just be to dissuade people from trying to fight her. Because if it's like, okay, she has these magical items that give her power, and then if we could steal them or take them out of the fight somehow, then she'd be powerful. Well, no, she's got all those caches who nobody knows where they are, that sort of thing. Or maybe they're just embellishments. Who knows? It's a possibility. And then I looked up, and the witching hour, both me and Emichu were correct. So the witching hour can refer to midnight, so either directly after midnight or from 11 o'clock to midnight, I believe. But it can also be the time between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., so we were both right. I like to, when there's a lot of exposition, like for example about what's been going on in the town, I like to spread that out between NPCs. Because on the one hand, that is more immersive. On the other hand, it's also more fun and interesting, and it gives the players more names that they could later potentially refer back to if they, for example, run into something to do with dwarves and they have no dwarf in the party and they say, oh, we met a dwarf once and let's see if we can track him down, and that just makes the world feel more alive. And so I like spreading out that over multiple episodes. Plus it's more fun for me to roleplay because I get to act more varied roles through that. So that's why I do that. The next bit is that last time Kango really was more active as a role player, and I really liked that. And I liked what Kango was doing with Mima, and that was good. I enjoyed that. Next bit is a quick thank you to Emichu for not splitting the party, so thank you. And then we have...
You're welcome.
Oh, right.
You're
So
welcome.
as the dwarf was telling his stories, the spell cast by the gem driver to get rid of those apparitions was, of course, a light spell. Because if you remember when I made the stat blocks for these monsters of uncertainty, if they are within bright light, they vanished, they disappear, they're gone. And so that's the spell that was cast, or something of that sort. Because light is, I believe, a cantrip, I think, so yeah. Oh right, yes, the thing about the midnight, the witching hour, that is false information, of course. Because if you've been watching these videos, you know that the monsters of uncertainty are created when Zinthar, the Beholder, dreams.
Pause for a second.
And
Yeah. Hold on, sorry.
doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because the whole thing about the witching hour was that the guy said that's when the monsters started to appear. So at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Which of course doesn't make any sense given what we now know about what these monsters truly are. Okay, continue.
Okay.
The monsters of uncertainty are created when Zinthar, the Beholder, dreams, and he has no idea what happened to the Green Matriarch, and it's freaking him out, and it's been so long since she vanished, and still nobody knows what's been going on, and he doesn't want to send his own minions whom he thinks he can mostly trust, because maybe he can't trust them, because none of them know what's going on, and if they tell him something's happening up there, he can't trust that information, so he needs to get people up there who he doesn't have any relationship with, who wouldn't backstab him because they won't know about him, but then how can he trust them? And all of that uncertainty is creating these monsters of uncertainty while he's sleeping, while he's dreaming, and that creates more uncertainty because he doesn't know that. He doesn't realize it. Because for as intelligent as he is, the things that are right in front of his nose, he misses.
Well, if beholders
He
have
doesn't know
noses.
what these monsters are. He doesn't know how they're connected. He doesn't know where they're from. And they're around his lair, where he lives. Is that connected to the Green Matriarch? What's going on? And so they appear as soon as they can appear as soon as he falls asleep, which of course wouldn't happen at midnight, given that he lives underground, the day-night cycle probably wouldn't have that much impact anyway, but for the sake of this game, I'm going to have it be in sync with when it's day and night, because that might have to do with his minions as well, and so for convenience. So they can appear as soon as Zinthar would have fallen asleep, which obviously isn't just at midnight. So that's just information that people have embellished, and, well, whether it's deliberately or not, probably not, but modifications to real stories, like, oh yeah, and that happened late at night, oh, midnight, yes, my thing happened at midnight too, the witching hour, definitely. So, yeah. I mean, another thing is that the candle lighter guy who goes up to the lanterns and lights the candles, he doesn't do that at midnight, he does that at dusk.
Makes sense.
And so if the story is true that he got ambushed and teleported into the pantry of the Spectres Crossing Tavern, which it is, then that would have had to have been shortly after nightfall. And that brings me to another point. In those stories, I've been, of course, trying to hint at the special abilities that these monsters have. So, for example, they can teleport you, they can change their shape, they can do these different things. Also, the gem driver being up at Gemhaven and not down in the in Shard's Calling, I decided that because I didn't want him to be in the picture at the moment, but I decided that he's up at Gemhaven because that is where the players are more likely to go, and so they might encounter him on their journey, him coming back towards Shard's Calling. So maybe they meet a traveler and maybe they share some food around a campfire or something, and then they get talking and it's like, oh yeah, the dwarves, yeah, oh I know a dwarf, and then the name, oh hey, we've met that guy, and that's gonna make the world feel immersive and give connections if it happens. So this is like another open clue that I like to set up where something might come of it, probably won't, but if it does, then that'll be fun. Right, and so that's pretty much everything. I'll be really interested to see where the players take this. And yeah, so see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, the next one, I will warn you, isn't very long. It's only
We'll see.
So yeah, let's get to it.
All right.
Hello, and welcome to this GM prep video. This is going to be a really short one. So firstly, the researcher guy, whose name I can't remember currently, I came up with after the last GM prep video and before the last live stream, so that's why he wasn't in the prep stuff. I came up with him because I wanted to give more of a clear plot hook to Car and that, because that was something that was expressed and that I also felt myself a bit, so yeah, that's how he got created. Plus it's good to also link everything to a central point, kind of. Now, for this coming session, I think it might be good to add a bit of a ticking clock. So currently the researcher guy is charmed by Mima, but that will wear off.
Oh yeah.
So I'm thinking of maybe having him come back to the players after it's worn off and then saying something like, you put a spell on me, and once I finished my research, I'll be sure to tell my Mitan about you. And so that might be good to add a little bit more of an incentive to speak with him.
You underestimate
rather
our
than
ability.
later.
It would be kill him, kill him.
More difficult. Whether or not it'll actually play a role, who knows. Now, the next thing is, I was thinking about maybe Car's brother, Car's friend, sorry, didn't just not want to cooperate. Maybe he discovered some things about Zinthar, and maybe that's why he was killed. Now, it could be that maybe there are some secret notes that are hidden somewhere that Mitan and Zinthar don't know where they are. And so even if things go really downhill, maybe this new friend of this potentially dangerous individual who they've already killed just turned up. And so maybe that could be a thing, that maybe Mitan is gonna task Car with finding those secret notes, and then if Car does, then of course it'll help free Mima's brother and do all of those other things. Who knows? So yeah, that's pretty much it. So see you soon for the session. Bye-bye. Oh, one more bit, which is that I wanted to have the guy who impersonated Mima's
jump scare.
brother also still be around. So it might be good to have some sort of really obvious character, like, I don't know, a tiefling or something like that, who the players see, and then later find out that a character like that hasn't been through here in days or weeks or whoever knows how long, to give a little bit more plot hints that this wizard who impersonated Mima's brother to steal those jewels is actually still around and might be another way to access Mitan, if depending on how clear I want to make those hints. So, yes. Bye-bye.
The imaginary wizard that impersonated Mima's imaginary brother.
I mean, technically those statements are true, because this whole thing is imaginary, but...
Thickens.
So are we watching this one as well?
Well, ideally, I would want to, but I really want to have that chat about the... Like,
Yeah,
could we... if we watched those 7 minutes of that last video, would everybody still have the time to have that little chat about the next campaign?
I can stay for longer, sure.
I can.
Okay, Willis?
I don't think we have a
About
choice.
That new imaginary campaign?
I don't think we have a choice. Roomsbath demands that we do both.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Also,
Okay.
I will try to make it quick.
Okay. Alright.
Thank you.
Hello,
Thanks.
and welcome to this D&D Behind the Screen update video. The short version is that the format of the campaign, of the series, isn't really working out that well long term. And it wasn't supposed to be long term in the first place, but here we are. And because of that, we've decided to end the campaign here. Now, there will be watch party live streams where the players will be reacting to the prep videos and all the behind the screen sort of stuff.
Hello.
Hello.
So that's the short version. The long version is, well, it's twofold. And before we get into the twofold bit, I'll just recap what the project was supposed to be for anyway, very, very quickly. So the series is intended to help new GMs who might
Hey,
be
this is
struggling
useful for the guy in chat.
with their games, so that they have behind the scenes look into how I personally plan and run things, and how my thought processes go, and that sort of thing, so that if they're maybe struggling with some bits, they might glean some bit of, well, hopefully wisdom. But yeah, so that was the idea. Specifically for Jamie and Mr. W, maybe, if he wants to run something as well, who knows.
Rainbow.
Yeah, or anybody who's watching.
Rainbow.
Really. And so that's why we had limited
Yeah, on the left.
sessions. That's
Yeah.
also why I committed to going through the process of, after every live stream, watching the whole live stream back, making notes, compiling my thoughts, then going out, recording a report video, then putting thought into not only the preparation stuff, but also recording that, and then editing the whole thing, uploading it, and then noting down all of the ramblings of me prepping for the next session. And so, yeah, that's the kind of the preamble of the twofold thing. So, the long explanation for why it's not really working out, which I think is also maybe useful to somebody, who knows. The first of those twofold is that because of the limitation of 8 sessions, I did everything I could to push the players, to make them progress faster, or to try to make them progress faster, which, one, didn't really work, but 2, it also meant that for example, in the beginning I said that I really didn't want the party to be split, because if we've got a split party, that means that it will take even longer for each player to be in the limelight and to have even scenes that they're in. And so splitting the party isn't great when you're live streaming anyway, especially if you've only got 2 hours for a game. But if you've only got 8 sessions, it's even more of a problem. And so that's why I requested that in the beginning, which then had the consequence of definitely Jamie, maybe Kango as well, I'm not too sure, but definitely Jamie wasn't really able to follow their own lines of inquiry and their own plot threads to get to their character's plot, so to say. For example, when the players spend the first however many sessions in the capital city to begin with, several of the players had scenes and events to progress with their plot lines through, but Jamie didn't really have much opportunity to ask around for her friend. For his friend, for his friend. And so, when we moved on, when that whole thing happened in the magic shop, and we moved on, I made no effort to keep the door open, so to say, so that they could resume or continue to have inquiry in the city, because I really wanted the players to move on, because they'd already spent too long in the city, according to my reckoning anyway. And then that problem kind of continued on, and in sort of near the end, so the last 1 or 2 sessions we had, I did try, Jamie approached me about this, and so I did try to do some things to maybe fix that. So I introduced the character of that scholar guy, I forget his name, who is not only a direct link to Kar's backstory and plot thread, but also is a good way for the rest of the group to get into what they want to do and what they want to figure out. And so I was trying to fit things in to maybe solve that issue, and it might work, who knows, but then a part of that is also I kind of went back on the splitting the party thing, because again, Jamie came to me and said that that's causing issues, and they're not really finding that much enjoyment because of that. Like, their characters mostly just there, which is true. And so I kind of went back on the no splitting the party thing, but then that would have dragged things out even more. And that brings me on to the second of the two folds, which is that I agreed to doing all of that extra work to make the behind-the-scenes parts for 8 sessions, or for a bit going over that. But if it's continuing inevitably, that's the wrong word. If it's continuing
indefinitely was the word I was looking for.
Then that's not something that is fun for me to do anymore. And so, that's why we've decided to call it here. But we will maybe have a new game sometime in the future. Maybe some Star Trek thing. We're still figuring things out, but anyway, that's it. So I hope that you enjoyed this series, and that you maybe had something to glean from it if you're a GM, or if you're just interested. And I'll see you soon, so bye-bye.
There we go. Thank you. I will have to take a just 1 minute pause because I need to get my notes. So I'll be back in 1.
Okay.
moment.
Actually, could I read out chat?
No.
No.
Would that
Read your own
will
chat.
that take long?
No, it's just a few messages. If I do it quickly.
Yep. And you gotta do the voice.
Well. Right. So, Blue said, I feel like you use me as a guard dog, but instead of barking, you just want me to weird them off. Hey, Duncan's Tam 23. Mitchell says, ooh, but you're so good at it. How you won my heart. So Grin, yes. Roomsbath says, such an interesting idea. Do both, please. And Blue says, that must be Jamie falling from heaven because I pushed them out. Yeah, the rainbow. Michu, it hurt. Blue says, at least next time someone asks, did it hurt when you fell from heaven? You can say, yes. Thank me later. Well,
I scraped my knees.
I suppose now is later.
Okay, so
What is the thing? It's like, oh no, I didn't. It didn't hurt when I fell from heaven, but it did hurt when I crawled up from hell.
Ah, I see. Not
I
heard that
scraped
one.
my knee.
No, it didn't hurt when I fell from heaven. It was a sudden stop at the end.
Yeah, and the maniacal laughter of my beloved.
That hurt most of all.
Haunting you all the way down.
Oh,
yeah, going. Like, no. I have to pay taxes down here. No.
Actually, yeah.
Yes?
I've
Yeah, taxes
pretty
on
much. Hold on. 1 second.
Lovely snowfall, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we can turn off the stream, can't we?
Oh yeah, I could.
Yeah.
I could actually. Blue says, have you tried tax fraud?
TM.
TM.
No.
Okay.